Prince Harry didn't return to Britain like a royal son reclaiming his home. He arrived more like a man with a mission, one rooted not in reconciliation, but in sheer survival. And the world could see it. There were no grand entrances this time, no roaring crowds, no Meghan by his side. Just Harry, alone, walking back into a country that once adored him, and now regards him more like yesterday's faded tabloid story. The silence that followed his arrival wasn't just awkward, it was deafening. Because deep down, everyone already knew why he was back. Behind palace walls, there was no warmth, no tenderness. Reports say the meetings were brisk, cold, and strictly businesslike. No heartfelt hugs, no emotional breakthroughs, just stiff handshakes and polite formalities. The royal family may smile in public, but they haven't forgotten. Not the Oprah interview, not the memoir, not the Netflix series, not the endless jabs Harry has thrown their way. Those wounds don't heal over tea and biscuits. It's no secret that King Charles has been cutting financial ties. For him, Harry isn't just a son anymore. He's a liability, a risk to the monarchy's carefully curated image. And in a family business built on reputation, there's little appetite to bankroll a man who spent years branding them as toxic. Once upon a time, love may have covered those cracks. But that chapter has closed. This time, the palace doors didn't swing open. They barely budged. And that's where the sting lies. Harry may have come with hopes, maybe even a pitch, but he left with nothing. No support, no deals, no carefully staged family photo to reassure the world. Just a quiet flight back to California, carrying with him the brutal truth. The monarchy is moving forward, with or without him. What makes this defeat so sharp is that it isn't private, it's public. Everyone sees it. The man who once swore he wanted nothing to do with royal life is now circling back, like an executive chasing an investor who already pulled the plug. Let's talk about the Sussex brand. Because not long ago, Harry and Meghan were the story. They were the rebels, the royals who walked away from tradition to write their own future. For a time, they had it all. Global sympathy, Hollywood spotlight, billion-dollar promises. But those days are slipping away. The glow of their Netflix deal has dimmed. Spotify has already cut ties. New projects? They're no longer landing with the same impact. In an industry that thrives on fresh faces and endless drama, the novelty of Harry and Meghan has started to fade. And Meghan's absence from this UK trip spoke volumes. It wasn't an accident, and it wasn't about scheduling. It was deliberate, strategic. She knew exactly what walking back into the palace meant, and she wasn't willing to endure that frost again. Her silence told its own story. Harry would face this storm alone, and without her, he looked exposed, vulnerable. Back in California, the reality isn't any softer. Their sprawling Montecito mansion, their security, their PR machine, it all burns through millions. And with fewer projects, the financial strain is becoming hard to ignore. Harry isn't just fighting for family ties anymore. He's fighting to keep his entire empire from collapsing. The headlines have been brutal. Prince returns to UK, leaves empty-handed. And they're everywhere. It's not just a blow to his pride, it's a blow to the brand. What once looked like a bold escape now resembles a failed business gamble. And that may be the most painful truth of all. Hollywood, once enchanted by the rebel prince, has cooled. The memoir's sales have slowed. The podcast ventures fizzled. And in an industry obsessed with buzz, Harry isn't generating any. Executives who once scrambled for a meeting with the Sussexes are now moving on to newer, shinier names. Harry and Meghan used to be the headline. Now they're just the punchline. And then there's the palace's icy calculation. No titles stripped, for now. But no favors either. King Charles isn't about to finance a second act for a son who spent years dismantling the first. The risk is too great. They know that one slip, one check, one gesture of support, and the headlines could turn toxic all over again. The public, too, is no longer as forgiving. Once sympathetic, many now see glaring contradictions. How can you preach independence from the monarchy while circling back to ask for help? That question echoes louder than ever. Online, the ridicule is relentless. Memes, old clips of Harry declaring he'd never return. Comment sections flooded with lines like, "Guess Netflix stopped paying," and "So much for independence." Social media doesn't forget, and this trip gave critics all the ammunition they needed. What's left is a man stranded between two worlds. unwanted by the one he left, and overlooked by the one he tried to join. That kind of limbo is dangerous. It eats away at relevance. And if nothing changes, Harry risks losing not just influence, but the spotlight itself. The brand of Harry as the free prince forging his own path is cracking under the weight of contradiction. It's not rebellion anymore, it's desperation, and everyone can see it. Those in Hollywood are already whispering, unbankable, bitter, inconsistent, harsh words for a man once celebrated as brave. But in entertainment, market value is everything, and Harry's is sinking. Meanwhile, the monarchy, the very institution he walked away from, still commands global attention. Despite scandals, they endure. They remain symbols of tradition and ceremony. Harry stepped away from that, believing his voice alone could rival the crown. But outside of royalty, there is no crown to catch the fall. And the fall is steep. Every failed venture, every cold palace meeting, every unflattering headline adds another crack to the story. The contradictions are too easy to mock. The prince who wanted privacy but can't stay out of the spotlight. The royal rebel now knocking on the same doors, he's slammed shut. And behind the scenes, Meghan is reportedly strategizing again. New projects, a fresh brand push, maybe even another documentary. But the audience has grown weary of the cycle. The big reveals, the emotional confessions, the dramatic headlines, they no longer land the way they once did. Even their circle of A-list allies seems smaller now. Hollywood doesn't stick around unless the returns are worth it. And lately, those returns haven't been there. That's the final blow. Not anger, not outrage, but fatigue. The public is tired. New royals are stepping into the spotlight. New celebrities are capturing attention. Harry, once the center of the conversation, is beginning to look like yesterday's news. And that is the real danger. Not being hated, but being ignored. In this chapter, Harry stands alone. No royal backing, no guaranteed audience, no clear path forward. He thought freedom meant control, but freedom without support looks a lot like isolation. He thought he could shape the narrative. Instead, the narrative is shaping him. And as the palace keeps its distance and Hollywood grows quieter, one question lingers louder than ever. Where does Prince Harry go from here?